What happens when fame, fortune, and family aren't enough to shield someone from the battles they keep locked inside? For years, Scott Disick, longtime companion of the Kardashian-Jenner family, has carried an image of sharp wit, quick humor, and lavish living. But behind the cameras, far from the spotlight, there are cracks in the facade. This is the story of how Kim Kardashian, one of the most powerful women in entertainment and Scott's confidant for over a decade, helped him confront hidden health struggles that threatened to overwhelm him. It is a story not of glamour, but of grit, vulnerability, and ultimately, hope. The air inside the Calabasas mansion was unusually heavy that evening. The setting sun painted the California sky with streaks of gold. Yet in the quiet living room, Scott Disick sat in silence. His posture was slouched, his eyes distant, his trademark sarcastic smile nowhere to be found. Kim Kardashian, dressed in understated loungewear, sat across from him. Cameras weren't rolling. This wasn't a scene for Keeping Up with the Kardashians. This was real. For years, Scott had been the wild card of the Kardashian world. His humor, his unpredictable antics, and his complicated relationship with Kourtney Kardashian made him a household name. But as the laughter echoed on screen, behind the scenes, he was grappling with health struggles, some physical, others deeply emotional that had rarely been spoken of publicly. Kim Kardashian had noticed. She always noticed, and unlike others who might tiptoe around the subject, she leaned in, determined to help Scott face what he had long avoided. "I don't think people realize how much you've been through," Kim told him, her voice steady yet soft. "But I see it, Scott. I see you struggling, and I don't want you to carry this alone anymore." Her words landed with a weight Scott couldn't brush off. For years, he had masked pain with humor, hidden anxiety behind luxury, and buried grief under distraction. His health struggles weren't just physical. They were a web of exhaustion, insomnia, unhealthy habits, and unresolved trauma from losing both his parents within months of each other. It was grief that lingered like a shadow, and Kim knew it. The documentary camera follows Kim and Scott through this emotional journey, capturing the raw honesty of conversations that rarely leave the walls of their homes. Kim, often criticized for her polished exterior, revealed a side of herself that was almost maternal with Scott. She wasn't the glamorous mogul in this moment. She was a friend, a sister, a guide. "I've built this brand, this empire," Kim says to the lens, later in a confessional-style moment, "but none of it matters if the people I love are suffering silently. Scott has been family to us forever. He's my kid's uncle. He's part of us, and I can't just watch him fall apart." The narrative shifts to scenes of Scott confronting his own fears. Doctor's appointments, private therapy sessions, late-night calls to Kim where his voice trembled, confessing how trapped he felt in his own body and mind. For the first time, Scott was letting someone in fully, and that someone was Kim Kardashian. The documentary highlights the paradox of Scott's life. The man who had access to every luxury, yet struggled with basic health and inner peace. His hidden health struggles had affected his sleep, his mood, his ability to be present for his children. And though many assumed Scott's issues were only tied to his past battles with alcohol, the reality was far more layered. His anxiety was chronic, his eating patterns inconsistent, and his body bore the signs of years of stress and neglect. Kim knew confrontation was necessary, but she also knew compassion was the key. She pushed Scott to open up, but never with judgment. Viewers watch as Kim accompanies him to consultations, holding him accountable, yet reminding him he isn't alone. At one point, she even tells him bluntly, "You've survived so much, Scott. Don't let yourself be the reason you don't move forward. Don't be your own roadblock." The documentary paints this confrontation not as an intervention, but as an act of family. The Kardashians, often seen as a media empire, reveal themselves here as a family bound by loyalty, even through chaos. Kris Jenner appears briefly, expressing both pride and worry. Kourtney, now more distant in her personal life, still shows a flicker of care when asked about Scott's health. And through it all, Kim remains the constant calm, steady, relentless in her support. Scott's journey is not portrayed as instant transformation. There are moments of resistance where he pushes back, reverting to humor or sarcasm to deflect. "You know me, Kim," he says in one scene. "I'd rather make a joke about dying young than actually face the fact that I might be screwing myself over." Kim doesn't laugh. She holds his gaze, letting the silence force Scott to sit with the truth. By the midpoint of the film, we see real change. Scott begins acknowledging the toll of his hidden health struggles. He admits to neglecting his body, to relying too heavily on short-term distractions, to ignoring the warning signs of fatigue and emotional burnout. More importantly, he admits that he needs help, a sentence he once found impossible to say. The cameras capture vulnerable exchanges that feel like whispers between siblings, rather than celebrity drama. Kim reminds him of his children, Mason, Penelope, and Rain. They need you healthy. They need you here. Not just physically, but fully here, she tells him. In these moments, the documentary shifts from being about celebrity gossip to something universally human. It becomes about the battle many face pretending everything is fine while suffering inside. Scott Disick becomes not just a TV personality, but a man fighting for control over his health, his life, his legacy. The climax of the film comes with Scott finally confronting his health on camera. In a rare, unfiltered moment, he speaks directly to the audience. Everyone sees the houses, the cars, the clothes, the jokes. But they don't see the nights I can't sleep, the mornings I can't get up, the way my body feels like it's betraying me. I didn't want to face it, but Kim pushed me. And honestly, it saved me. Kim sits beside him, holding his hand. No makeup, no glam, just a sister-like figure determined to make sure. Scott's struggles were no longer hidden. The final act of the documentary is one of cautious hope. Scott begins a structured health plan therapy, medical treatments, lifestyle changes. The road ahead is not easy, and the film does not romanticize it. Instead, it acknowledges the ongoing nature of healing, reminding viewers that progress is messy, but possible with support. Kim reflects in the closing narration. People think our lives are all about the surface, the glam, the drama, the headlines. But what really matters are these moments, the real ones. Helping Scott confront his hidden health struggles wasn't about saving him. It was about reminding him he has the power to save himself. And sometimes, that reminder is all someone needs. As the screen fades to black, the final image is not one of red carpets or flashing cameras, but of Scott laughing with his children in the backyard, healthier, lighter. Still a work in progress, but no longer alone in the fight. This is not just a story about Kim Kardashian and Scott Disick. It is a reminder that behind every public image lies a private battle, and that sometimes it takes someone who truly cares to help us confront it.